responding to another shooting just a few blocks over on Hawthorne Lane. That victim was taken to the hospital with serious injuries.
Good Monday morning. Later today, residents will once again go out at a town council meeting here in Fort Mill to protest that controversial Silfab of manufacturing solar plant. They say they're concerned because it should be zoned in a heavy industrial zone, and they are upset because of hazardous chemicals that are used in the plant and its proximity to two new schools scheduled to open this year and next. Some residents even saying that they've put their homes up for sale because they don't want to live that close to that plant.
Happening today, Charlotte City Council expected to announce who's going to fill the vacant District 6 seat. Right now, 9 candidates remain in consideration. An informal swearing in will take place tomorrow with a formal ceremony scheduled for June 2nd.
All right, let's take a look at those area roadways. This one, I want to let you know about this ongoing accident. Starting to see some impacts with it. It's a lane that's blocked due to a crash on Landing Place Lane and Lancaster Highway. And then just up to the north, we're seeing another ongoing accident. Minimal impacts, though. I-45 northbound. There's a crash right before exit 26. Chris?
Okay, let's just get right to it. Most of the day staying dry, but by the late afternoon, early evening, we'll have a chance for some storms, especially to the southwest. So I'm really talking to you in Chester and York County. Best chance for rain and a shower or two. Isolated storms possible, but it's really for the evening hours on Tuesday, and then Tuesday night to Wednesday, it could be a rockin' and a rollin' start to the day. Once the front passes, and that's not going to happen until late Wednesday, we see temperatures chill to either side of 80 degrees. It feels more comfortable. So if you like those spring-like days, they're finally back. We've been actually feeling more like June, so good news.
And just quickly, how are we doing on drought again?
Drought, we are now abnormally dry, no longer drought here in the Charlotte area.
Oh, that's the good news,
Normally dry, we like that. Normally dry. All right, the reminder, the news does not end here. We have live breaking news, weather, and traffic all day.
Yeah, we're streaming on WCNC Plus. It starts in just a few at 7. See you there.
streaming live right now at 7 a.m. right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Kaylin Hagwood in for Lisa. Taking a live look over uptown now. We're starting the week off with some clear skies and warm weather after some weekend rain. Meteorologist Chris Mulcahy has that weather impact forecast.
All right, let's do it, y'all. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to WCNC Plus. Kaylin, good to have you here this morning. 64 degrees current temperature, 60 degrees in Hickory, and then 58 degrees around Morganton. Yeah, we have those clouds that are really starting to take over for today, so we're going to have a nice mix of clouds and sunshine. But first, got to get to our dog of the day. Let's start off with a nice dose of cuteness. Sadie, good to have you. Megan, thank you so much for sending Sadie along. And Megan said she was so excited that Sadie's being featured today because it's actually Sadie's daddy's birthday, or Megan's husband. So happy birthday to you. I don't think you put a name, but happy birthday. Temperatures ranging across the 70s once you get to about 9 o'clock. So at the end of our section of WCNC Plus, to around 80 degrees come noon. Overall, I think it's a partly sunny to a mostly cloudy day, and then lower to the mid 80s for the afternoon with a slight chance for a pop-up shower in the afternoon, especially to end the day and begin the evening. So I have a high of 85 for Charlotte, 83 in Monroe. 85 is actually cooler than what we've had the last 3 days. 82 for you in Hickory as well. But check out our 10-10-10 forecast. So I'm going to show you our 10-day forecast for highs, lows, and precipitation chances. You notice that the next 3 days are the warmest. Wednesday is actually the top for a front's going to pass us, and then we're mainly dealing with the upper 70s. That's not too bad. 66 degrees tonight. That's also very mild compared to where we're going. We'll hit a peak on Wednesday morning before we cool down to the 50s. By the way, a low of 53 on Saturday is going to be in the mid to the upper 40s elsewhere north and northwest. And our precipitation chances, I think our highest chance is Tuesday night to Wednesday morning, and then again on Tuesday. So nothing really widespread so far this week, but of course that can change. Isolated today, isolated tomorrow, but then most likely again on Tuesday night. So let's get right to it. The reason why we have storms to the southwest today is because this front is jogging across the area. A little bit of a trough, that's an area of low pressure, could drive up a storm to end the day. And then it's this area off towards the west that's going to be the main event, and it's taking its time getting here. Round one of rain between 4 and 8. I think that's your best potential. This shows the most widespread probability, so it's really either side of 6 is the best chance for across the Charlotte area, and then by the time you get to about 8 to 9 o'clock, everything's fading out. By tomorrow morning, slight chance for a stray shower, but you notice through the day, not much happening. I think things start to break heading into your Tuesday evening, so this is our best chance for some isolated showers and storms. Just depending where things set up, you could actually have an outside chance for a strong to severe thunderstorm during your Tuesday evening. Not super widespread, though. Notice where most of the activity rolls in. This is 7 o'clock. That's widespread activity. I think it'd actually be closer to about 3 to 6 that most of this is moving into the area, and that's a chance still for some stronger thunderstorms to kick off your Wednesday morning commute. The main event, this right here. It's another significant severe threat for a widespread tornado outbreak. We've seen this several times over the last several days, and that bullseye will be the big story, where sadly some of the video that we're going to show you a little bit later on in the next half hour could see that again. Another scenario there. We also have somebody live in St. Louis. Walker Lawson's there right now with his photographer Carrie. But check out our severe potential to the southwest. As I mentioned, there's the slight chance those storms move through there. All of us into that low threshold, but this isn't Tuesday afternoon. These typically go 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. the next day, so this is factoring for your Wednesday morning as well. Once the front passes, we are also going to have a nice little comfort area as far as those dew points go. Feeling really great heading into your Memorial Day weekend, so it actually truly is more of a spring-like forecast. So our Guy Roofing 70 forecast, you can see this. I already showed you where temperatures go on that 10-10-10 forecast, but the upper 70s, feeling dry on Friday and Saturday. Slight chance for an isolated shower as another front moves through on Sunday, so that could impact the Coca-Cola 600, but it's too far out to really see. And Memorial Day also trending in the upper 70s as well for day 8 of our extended forecast. Good morning to you, Majestic. How are things looking?
Not too bad for our Monday morning commute. You can see a live look outside. I-77 just after 7 o'clock this morning, so you know how it goes. Traffic is starting to increase. Want to show you some of our cameras coming in from York County. You can see also more cars out on those area roadways compared to about an hour ago. We also have a few accidents I want to let you know about. We'll start up north in and then we'll start to move our way to the south. First things first, we have I-45 and northbound lanes being impacted. Here you can see that orange indicating slow moving traffic. There's a crash right before exit 26. Keep that in mind again if you do take I-45. Another one, we have a lane that's blocked due to a crash on Tyvola Road and Farmbrook Drive. And finally, to the far south, we have this ongoing road blocked. It's at Landing Place Lane and Lancaster Highway. Not seeing any significant impacts from that. Coming up in just a few minutes, we'll have your drive times for your Monday morning. Kaylin.
All right, thank you so much. Happening today, dozens of people are expected to rally ahead of a Fort Mill council meeting. They're demanding action on the controversial Silfab solar plant. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane has been following the story for us. He joins us live in Fort Mill. And Richard, what are you learning?
Yeah, we're learning that there's a planned rally tonight. Now, while Silfab is not on the agenda, there are some items that could affect the town of Fort Mill's relationship with that solar manufacturing company. Now, we have learned that later today, we expect a number of folks to come out and rally against Silfab. They say that basically they're concerned because of the fact that they're upset about the Canadian manufacturer's company building a large-scale facility near both neighborhoods and schools here in Fort Mill. It's a $150 million project which promised some 800 jobs, but it's also raised concerns due to the use of what opponents of the project say are hazardous chemicals that are used at the facility and its proximity to two new schools scheduled to open this year and next. At issue is whether Silfab's heavy industrial operations belong in a light industrial zone. Residents plan to pack the meeting calling for Silfab to relocate away from homes, schools, as well as senior communities. Some families even say for their fear for their health and safety and have even put their homes up for sale, while others say they're just holding off waiting to see what and if protests will have as far as swaying council members. Take a listen to one resident and then we'll hear from the CEO of Silfab. Take a listen.
That first feeling, I started crying. We were like, all right, we got to find a home, and it has to be far enough away from Silfab that we won't be rezoned there.
There is a commentary that saline is highly combustible, and if a car backfires here in this lot or a cigarette butt is exposed, it's going to happen. No, that's not the case. It is a fully contained process from front to back.
Yeah, and again, that meeting takes place tonight at 7. We'll have details of what happens if, first of all, they discuss Silfab, and then what that protest looks like at tonight's regular council meeting. Guys, back to you.
Yeah, Richard, before you go, there's been a lot of talk about local opposition, but what's happening at the state level that could impact this project?
Good question, Kaylin. As a matter of fact, we talked a couple weeks ago about two bills that both have effect on the town and municipalities' zoning ordinances. So if those bills pass, then a town like Fort Mill could then say Silfab is not properly zoned and halt construction of that project right away. Those are two bills that we're paying attention to, and I know Silfab, as well as the town of Fort Mill, and those people who are opposed to Silfab are also paying attention to those bills as well. We'll keep you posted on how those bills go as they move their way through the House and legislature.
All right, Richard Devane, thank you so much.
7:08 right now here on WCNC Plus, and now to some national headlines. Reaction pouring in this morning after news of former President Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis. NBC's Alice Barr now in Washington with details of the next steps.
This morning, an outpouring of support for former President Biden after the announcement he was diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer that spread to his bones.
Once the cancer has spread to the bones, it's no longer curable, but it's very treatable and very controllable.
The former president's personal office noting the cancer appears to be hormone sensitive, making it more likely to respond to treatment, and saying he was diagnosed on Friday after increasing urinary symptoms. As president and vice president, Mr. Biden spearheaded a cancer moonshot initiative aimed at improving treatment and prevention, speaking frequently on the topic after losing his son Beau to brain cancer in 2015.
It's fair to say one of the most devastating words anyone can hear, and it's not hyperbole, is cancer.
Well wishes are pouring in from both sides of the aisle. Former President Obama writing, "Nobody has done more to find breakthrough treatments for cancer in all its forms than Joe." Former Vice President Kamala Harris saying Joe is a fighter who will face this challenge with strength, resilience, and optimism. President Trump writing that he and the First Lady are saddened to hear about the diagnosis and wish Joe a fast and successful recovery. A source familiar with the Biden's thinking tells NBC News the former president and family are meeting with doctors and considering multiple treatment options, including hormone treatment. Where he'll be treated, not yet clear, though the support behind him is. Amid well wishes for the former president, the work of Washington continues. Overnight, House Republicans advanced a massive spending package of President Trump's policy priorities. It's expected to need changes before final passage. The president also speaking today with Russian President Vladimir Putin on ending his war in Ukraine. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Back here at home, the funeral for McAdenville Mayor Jim Robinette is set for this Wednesday. He passed away on Friday. Robinette was first appointed as mayor in 2016, then won 2 additional terms. He was an Army veteran and served the town for nearly 20 years before becoming mayor. He was 80 years old.
Also happening today, North Carolina Governor Josh Stein set to announce his second Hurricane Helene budget plan. He'll be in Western North Carolina today to visit businesses impacted by his previous grants. That announcement set to begin at 11 this morning. We'll bring that update right here on WCNC Plus, streaming it live.
Well, this morning, thousands of people waking up to utter devastation after a rash of tornadoes ripped through the Midwest. Some of the hardest hit areas include Kentucky, Colorado, and St. Louis. One person near Denver caught the storm passing just yards from his house.
Oh my God.
Well, at least 18 people are dead just from...
This is my backyard. I'm not even kidding. This is right here. It just crossed the interstate. This is Colfax. You see the probably that is Colfax. This thing just passed the interstate.
Just amazing video there. At least 18 people are dead just from the Kentucky tornado alone. And reporter Kirsten Foote spoke with those trying to come to terms with the cleanup.
Oh my God.
For blocks, all you can see is the utter devastation left behind from this powerful storm. For starters, take a look at this tree where there's metal mixed and mangled through it. And just beyond that, at this home right here, an entire second story ripped away, landing a field over. Now we come across the street at this home that used to be a home, now is no longer. A family is thankful that no one was inside when the storm came through.
By the grace of God, my family is alive.
Tina Carnes and her sister have lived across the street from each other for years. That all changed Friday night.
I'm just glad that she come to my house because I just don't know if she would have made it. I'm just looking at it. I mean, it went off the foundation. It's upside down. There's trees on it.
Carnes wasn't home at the time, but with only seconds to think, those inside the home crowded together in their downstairs closet.
And they said it was loud noise, their ears started popping, and it was just really fast and chaotic.
It's likely something that saved their lives. Carnes' home, while it fared better than her sister's, still has major damage.
And then upstairs we had 3 bedrooms and a bathroom, and that's gone. We had a bathroom and a garage over here.
But one piece of their family is missing.
We was able to get 2 cats, a lizard, 2 dogs, but we're missing 1 dog.
Up the road from her house is Joseph Bertrand's apartment building.
It sounded like a couple freight trains coming through because it went right through our house. I don't know why it's unscathed, but I hit our house and it got quiet and you could hear everything trying to press in. The water actually came up out of the toilet.
Thankfully, he had a different outcome than so many others.
I'm just grateful to be alive and to be able to help these people.
The storm left a clear mark on its path as it ripped through the town. In the Oaks of London subdivision, recovery efforts continue.
I just couldn't believe it really happened to me. You know, you always hear about tornadoes, but you never really think that could happen to you until it does.
Laken Cunningham lives here with his aunt and uncle who were home during the storm.
I'm lucky I wasn't here. I'd been sleeping in that bed. Probably would have woke up with drywall and sheetrock all on me.
We was sitting at my house under a bed just praying that they would stay safe and just watch over them.
The house is now falling apart at the seams.
That front wall where the front windows was, where the front door is, it's about to just fall over and collapse.
But what remains is a community now stronger in the face of tragedy.
Everybody has rallied here. Friends, aunts, kids, classmates, neighbors.
And don't go anywhere, because coming up in about an hour, WCNC Charlotte's Walker Lawson is actually going to be live there on the ground in St. Louis with a look at some of that damage. Again, that's coming up at 8 o'clock right here on WCNC Plus.
What are your takeaways from this, Chris?
It's just the peak of severe weather season, and we're now in the right setup, and we've seen this multiple times, that whenever you have a low, the warm front, the cold front, it's called the warm sector. It's also the triple point. It's right when you're underneath there, that's your best chance for a tornado outbreak, and we've seen that now 3 of the last 4 days, and today is going to be 4 of the last 5 days, because it's the exact same setup. And we have a lot more video that I really kind of want to comb through, and we're going to go through what's called the degree of damage. So whenever you talk about the EF scale, we're starting here in Illinois. The EF scale is just based on damage. So they pretty much go out and assess, hey, what happened here? What you're looking at right now is Illinois. Illinois had the strongest tornado reported with a peak wind of 190 miles per hour. That is a strong EF4. Once you get to 200 plus, we're talking about EF5. Whenever you see an absolutely leveled structure, as we just saw in one of those images, you're talking about winds getting up to about 185 to 205 miles per hour. Whenever you have large sections of the roof removed, as we're seeing in many of these areas, it's close to about 104 to 142. So engineers have gone out and said, hey, what winds do this damage? And that's how we decide, or the National Weather Service is going to decide what strength tornado it was. So this one that you're seeing right there, all this damage, that's EF4. When everything is just piles of rubble, it's at least a strong EF3 to EF4 as we're seeing here. Now we're here in Kentucky. So Kentucky mainly saw an EF3. So EF3 is going to show winds anywhere from 135 to 165 miles per hour. The winds that caused damage like this were likely anywhere from about 140 to 155 miles per hour. So that's a strong EF3. And how you know that is once you start to see some of the exterior walls collapse, especially when it's bricks like this structure, that means the upper bound that we're into EF3 strength. Anything that's EF2, which is 111 plus, is going to be a strong tornado. This is a very strong tornado where 18 were killed here in Kentucky, and it's also only 100 mile per hour winds enough to move a car. You're talking about 110, 115, physically flipping them. This one right here, likely where just the roof was taken off, probably winds about 120 to 130 miles per hour. Now we go to St. Louis. St. Louis, you can see a lot of structure to the top of some of these apartment buildings and these structures. Bricks, again, is a really good deterrent about how strong it is. Whenever it's EF5, you're talking about schools completely destroyed. Since it's mainly just the top floors, the part of the degree of damage here is usually winds up to about 150 miles per hour, and it was actually a peak wind of 152 that was found here in St. Louis. Now, luckily, this is nothing like what we saw over in Joplin, but it's still staggering whenever you talk about a big community like this in St. Louis, because it's just the outer bounds. I think Walker Lawson said about 2 miles from downtown. That's just absolutely staggering. So that's what you can essentially expect in this area of the country. The tornado threat is at a significant severe threat. Anything in the red represents a 10% chance for tornadoes, a 15% chance in the areas of that magenta color. Those hashed lines mean significant threat, meaning that widespread EF2s to EF3s are all possibility. That means flipped cars. That means roofs stripped and neighborhoods completely destroyed. So it's really sad to see this again. This is right in the heart of Tornado Alley. Everything's coming together for the perfect type of conditions that are happening with this system. And we saw that over the weekend. Just recently, we saw widespread damage that swept through parts of Kansas. Check it out. Oftentimes, these are supercells. Those are long track rotating thunderstorms. And one telltale sign is the hail core. Hail usually always precedes a strong tornado, just depending where you are in that sector. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. A lot of big time hail makers all in all. So I'm happy to say that we're not going to have anything like that for our severe weather risks. We just have a little tail along the front. It's mainly the far western side of the Carolinas for our severe weather potential. And then closer to Tuesday, all of us have a chance for a strong thunderstorm, but I think that's mainly during the evening and through the overnight. Coming up in the next half hour, I'll show you our futurecast, Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. In the meantime, thoughts and prayers for all those here in the Midwest and the central United States.
All right, let's get a look at those area roadways as we are heading out the door for our Monday morning commute. Beautiful weather outside, not seeing any problems there. And area roadways, again, we have a few accidents you'll want to know about, but no big, huge impacts. Here's I-77 here, nice dry roads to get you to where you need to be this morning. York County cameras, you can see I-77 there, looking all right as well. Want to zoom into a few of our accidents. We'll start up north and then make our way to the south. This is I-485. There's a northbound crash that's impacting roads. You can see yellow popping up indicating some medium impacts there. That's just after exit 26. An additional one here, it's on Independence. I know a lot of you take that direction, but it's at Crown Point Executive Drive, so it's a little bit off to the side, not seeing any major direct concerns. And then a lane is still blocked due to a crash at Landing Place Lane and Lancaster Highway. Still seeing mainly green though. Coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to be talking about our drive times to get you to where you need to be. But if you are traveling on I-85, it is just that time of the day, just after 7 o'clock, almost 7:30, where we are seeing those big backups. That red right there is just indicating that stop and go traffic. No accidents, just your typical Monday morning slowdowns. Ben.
Morning, and it is Monday trivia time. Today's trivia is all about the state of North Carolina. By the way, the capital, obviously Raleigh. We're the Tar Heel State. Population 11,050,000. The state bird, the cardinal. The state flower is the dogwood. The state tree, the pine tree. And the state motto is Esse Quam Videre. Esse Quam Videre. What does that mean? To be rather than seem. To be rather than seem. That's today's trivia. I'm Larry Sprinkle.
Larry, thanks. Time now 7:21 here on WCNC Plus. The PGA Championship at Quail Hollow, a big success, and this morning Scotty Scheffler is celebrating another win. Scheffler with a big comeback to get the victory and do something that hasn't been done since Tiger Woods. WCNC Charlotte's Danielle Stein reports from Quail Hollow.
In a field that featured the best players in the world, it was only fitting that world number one Scotty Scheffler would be on the 18 on Sunday, hoisting the Wanamaker Trophy after winning his first ever PGA Championship. Scotty Scheffler has won his fair share of tournaments throughout his career, including the Masters twice. Now he has a second leg in that Grand Slam quest as he takes the PGA Championship here at Quail Hollow Club. An excellent round on Saturday pushed Scotty into the lead 3 strokes ahead coming into Sunday's final round, but a shaky front 9 with 3 bogeys actually briefly took him out of the lead. But it was on that back 9 that he proved once again why he is the best in the world. Now golf fans really showed out in Charlotte and proved why this is a perfect site for a major here in the Queen City. This was of course the first time that a major was held since 2017 here at Quail Hollow Club, and I think Scotty Scheffler even said how the fan support really meant a lot to him all week long. At Quail Hollow Club, Danielle Stein, WCNC Charlotte.
Well, NASCAR's All-Star Weekend was one to remember. The best drivers taking over North Wilkesboro Speedway.
WCNC Charlotte's Joseph Leonard spoke to fans and business owners about the impact of NASCAR in the Triad.
Well, no matter who you were pulling for, the energy here was electric all weekend long. It wasn't just fun for NASCAR fans, it was also a big weekend for Wilkesboro businesses too. For many fans,
This is down home NASCAR.
when you think NASCAR, you think North Wilkesboro Speedway.
These people live and breathe this, and love that it's back home.
It's not something brand new. It's not something modern. You know, they kind of throw it back to its roots.
This place is one of NASCAR's oldest tracks and still one of its most beloved by so many.
And there's a lot of good racing, you know, side-by-side stuff and passing and things like that.
There's just so much going on in a little place, so I love it.
The sport returned to this historic short track just 2 years ago after a 27-year break. In 2023 alone, visitors spent nearly $30 million at local Wilkesboro businesses, according to the North Carolina Department of Commerce. That's a big deal for business owners like Seth Cohn at Two Boroughs Brewery.
I know it's been a great boost for my business. Two Boroughs Brewery, we did a combination with North Wilkesboro Speedway and made our last lap lager for them. That gave us the ability, because of those connections, to be able to grow and expand to a new location on 421.
Still, beyond the money, this weekend was all about making memories. Brian Kiger camped outside of the track on Sunday. He brought his wife and daughter with him, saying moments like this make NASCAR so special.
And then to get to do it with my daughter and see pictures, every year it pops up in your memories, the pictures, and seeing her from this tall, hanging out at the races and popping up in your memories, it's awesome, man.
Many first-timers tell me they're already planning a trip back here, and for those diehards, missing the All-Star race here in Wilkesboro is not an option. Reporting in Wilkesboro, Joseph Leonard, WCNC, Charlotte.
Well, NASCAR does head to the Charlotte Motor Speedway this weekend for the Coca-Cola 600.
That's right. All right, let's go live pictures right now over Uptown here on WCNC Plus. Coming up in just about a minute, we'll have another check of your Monday weather and traffic, and then we're back with the headlines. 7:30 right here on WCNC Plus.
Well, good morning, everybody. 85 degrees today. Slight chance for a passing shower or two, but really nothing too extreme for today. Mixed cloud and sunshine. I think we have more clouds by the afternoon from place to place. Our futurecast picking up that really after 2 you have a chance for a developing shower. I think the better opportunity is mainly southwest of Charlotte. Between about 4 and 8 o'clock, best push for a shower or storm to develop along a passing trough with some developing rain chances again really late Tuesday heading into Wednesday morning. It's during that time frame that's the warmest on our Guy Roofing 70 forecast, mid to the upper 80s. A passing front will bring us back down to 80 and below. So really a picture perfect holiday weekend upcoming. Majestic?
Area roadways on our Monday morning, not looking too bad, nothing too out of the ordinary. You can see a live look outside on this Monday morning. I-77 here coming in from York County. We do have a couple of accidents I want to let you know about. Nothing majorly impactful, but this one here is starting to show now medium to slow moving traffic. I-45 northbound lanes. There's a crash just before exit 26. In addition to that, we're seeing our major and kind of typical slowdowns. I-85, stop and go traffic, not even saying 25-mile-per-hour speeds because of how slow moving all of this is. Drive times on our Monday morning from Waxhaw to Charlotte, it's going to take it just under an hour to get there.
Well, good morning and thank you for joining us here live on WCNC Plus at 7:30. I'm Kaylin Hagwood in for Lisa.
And I'm Ben Thompson. Happening today, we're going to find out who's going to fill that open seat on the Charlotte City Council.
The District 6 vacancy has sparked weeks of interest, and tonight council members are set to make their pick. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards live this morning with a closer look at who's eligible. Destiny.
Yeah, it's been more than a month with no representation on City Council in District 6. So today is finally the day that they're going to announce who will fill that vacant seat. And this list of candidates has drawn a lot of attention. Now, all of the candidates, all the applicants, I should say, had to be registered Republicans and live within District 6. Initially, 12 people applied, including community activists, a conservative columnist, former council members, and even former District 6 council member Tark Bakari's wife, Krista Bakari. Now, Krista Bakari previously ran for state office and has recently spoken out about city leadership. Another high-profile candidate is Andrew Dunn, who is a conservative political writer and editor. Two original applicants were later ruled ineligible due to issues with party registration or residency, so now 10 candidates remain in consideration. During a public forum last week, eligible candidates spoke on their priorities, from continuing Tark Bakari's focus on public safety to prioritizing growth in the city.
I support fiscally responsible policies, public safety, smart development, and affordability.
Look at what we've done, not just with the airport, but all the laws and things that have changed to make our city a better place.
So after today's appointment, there will be an informal swearing in for the appointee tomorrow. After that, there will be a more formal ceremony on June 2nd. That's when that new member will join on their first Charlotte City Council meeting. I'll send it back to you guys live here from Uptown.
Destiny, you touched on this, but there was a lot of back and forth on who was eligible for this seat. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, so you have the 12 that originally applied, and as of Wednesday, there were 3 that were ineligible. Again, one candidate had an issue with their party registration, another had an issue with their residency. However, it was Larisha Poor. She was the person who just spoke on that last soundbite. She was mistakenly marked as ineligible at first because it said that she was an unaffiliated voter. It didn't have her registered as a Republican, but that was a clerical error that was later fixed. So it does have her now as a registered Republican, and she was reinstated on the list. But there were 2 other candidates that were marked as ineligible, and they stayed as ineligible. So you can see the full list of candidates also on our website, as well as the WCNC Charlotte app.
Yeah, some familiar faces that people would know from Charlotte City government, and then some new faces as well. We'll find out later today. All right, Destiny, thank you. We appreciate it.
Well, good day, good morning, good Monday to you. Who's ready for the week? Not a bad start to the day. You're going to have a nice mix of cloud and sunshine. At times you'll see a little bit of blue sky. This is one of those days that we have upper level, mid level, and low level clouds that really clouds things up for the afternoon, but still plenty of sunshine for us to enjoy and crank Mother Nature's thermostat up to about the mid 80s for today. I have a high for 85 around Charlotte, 82 in Hickory, and then the mid 70s just fine and dandy around the Boone area. By the afternoon, we will have a slight chance for a pop-up shower or thunderstorm, turning mostly cloudy to overcast at times. Just depends where you are, as we have some developing storms. As for the near term, this little blob of rain is unraveling, but if you follow it, it is progressing its way off towards the east-southeast. So that means if you live in York, Chester, Lancaster County specifically, and then right along the state line, could have the lightest of slightest showers, I would say, by the end of this morning, as it's riding along these atmospheric train tracks, aka a stationary front, and this front is going to drift its way down towards the south. If it stayed here, we would look at a better severe weather potential for this afternoon, but instead it's locked and loaded right here when we have the peak heating and instability for the day. One of our things that I mentioned on WCNC was our window of opportunity. Our best storm chances between about 4 and 8 o'clock. You could have heavy heavy rain at times and some gusty winds, so that's going to be your best potential. But I don't think it's for everyone. This is our future cast, and anything in the dark blue, that's a chance for storms. Anything that's in the yellow, that's a better chance for severe storms. Here's a little bit of that light rain that I was talking about by the end of this morning. And then by the afternoon, after 2 o'clock, you will have a chance for a developing shower or storm. Likely you'll start to see signs of it. The winds could pick up from its outflow, or you have some of those darker clouds. But then it's really after 2 to 4, we see a few pop-up, very isolated storms, not too much going on. The best chance is really anywhere in this yellow. So from Shelby to Rock Hill down to the southwest, we could have some storms, but I think there's going to be a general line that forms. So just keep general lookout between about 4 and 8 o'clock. Again, the best chance for storms to develop past through the area. Once they get a little bit closer to sunset, that's where they're going to die out, and that's round 1. Round 2 technically arrives tomorrow, but I think it's really going to be a Tuesday night and a Wednesday morning thing. So we have a low chance for severe storms across our area. Large hail's a possibility, damaging winds, tornado threat not likely because that's much further to the west. But our North Carolina mountains will first see the strongest line, so you do have a slight chance for a little spin up and rotation. So let's go through your Tuesday. Tuesday showing a spotty shower, chance by the morning time, but I think it's really the evening that we start to flourish a few pop-up showers and storms. So those are going to be all over the place, really tough to time out. But it's after midnight that we see a strong line of thunderstorms move in. That's why the mountains, you have the best chance for severe storms with this. And then it's still going to be a chance, because look at this. You have a little bit of a bow here that shows a little kink as well. Anytime you have any bowing segment, it'll be a chance for some stronger winds. So a stray severe thunderstorm warning not out of the question heading into the early morning hours, but likely this is decaying and weakening as we head towards sunrise. So our Guy Roofing 7-day forecast, if it would load up for me, you're going to notice that we're waiting for a front to pass. Once the front clears, and that'll happen late on Wednesday, they'll pick the winds up as well. They'll cool us down into the 80s, but sometimes it takes about 24 to 36 hours for the true cool down to take place. That's exactly what we see. The upper 70s Friday and heading into your Memorial Day weekend. So far, so good for the Coca-Cola 600 if you're going to that event. Slight chance for rain, but it looks to be mainly in the afternoon. Majestic, how's it going this morning?
It's going pretty good. We are looking at nice conditions outside. Live look, you can see traffic is starting to pick up on this Monday morning. 7:37 right now. You can see it there. Not a bad start to the day, though, weather-wise. Do want to point out a few of our South Carolina cameras. I-77 here coming in from York County. Not seeing anything too out of the ordinary. Want to break down a couple of our accidents. We'll start north of Charlotte. This one here is starting to bring some backups. You can see slow-moving traffic. I-45 northbound lanes still being impacted by that accident just before exit 26. To the south of Charlotte, there is a lane that's blocked due to a crash on Tyvola Road at Farm Brook Drive. You can see that yellow indicating medium impacts with that one. And finally, I do want to highlight this. A lane is blocked due to a crash on Landing Place Lane at Lancaster Highway. We'll have more on your traffic updates coming up in a few.
7:38 right now on WCNC Plus. And this morning, we've got some developing news in North Charlotte where one person is dead after a shooting near Uptown. It happened yesterday evening on Spring Street between Statesville Avenue and I-77. We're still working to find out what led up to that shooting or if there is a suspect in custody. A community also in shock this morning after a teen was shot and killed in East Charlotte yesterday. WCNC Charlotte's Anna King spoke to neighbors who say they woke up to the unexpected.
Sunday morning, residents along Winding Pathway were startled by gunshots.
When it's right outside your window, it's a little bit different than, in the distance.
Police responded to a call around 3 a.m. for an assault with a deadly weapon and arrived to find a man with gunshot wounds in a parking lot.
It's almost an annual event. It's unacceptable for sure.
The victim, 17-year-old Victor Ramirez Jr., was pronounced dead at the scene. Neighbors say they're shocked.
We come here at night and we ride through the park all the time, so usually it's pretty safe around here.
You got the tennis courts and playground and middle school just right up the road.
While detectives continue to work the case, residents are calling for the community to step up and take action.
I think just having like a community, like Crime Watch or something like that, or just having the community together to see if somebody witnessed something or can help out would be the best thing, I guess, for the neighborhood.
And detectives are continuing to investigate what led up to the shooting. They're asking that anyone with information contact them at 704-334-1600. At the CMPD headquarters, Anna King, WCNC Charlotte.
Well, this morning we're learning the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Fraternal Order of Police will move forward with its vote of no confidence against CMPD Chief Johnny Jennings. The preliminary survey wrapped up over the weekend with over 800 people responding. 70% reportedly voted in favor of moving forward. The move follows a controversial settlement between the city and the chief, which stemmed from a dispute and perceived threats over officers who wanted to wear outer carrier vests.
Turning now to some national headlines this morning, and there are new questions over the stunning moment a tall ship smashed into the Brooklyn Bridge, killing 2 people. No doubt you probably saw it over the weekend. It was all over social media. NBC's Maya Eaglin has a closer look this morning at the devastating crash.
New questions after a ship crashed into New York City's iconic Brooklyn Bridge, killing 2 sailors.
It's not going to hit the bridge.
Those along the river watched in horror, some running away, as the Mexican Navy training ship collided with the bridge around 8:20 p.m.
What is going on?
The Brooklyn Bridge is a critical part of New York's infrastructure, connecting Manhattan and Brooklyn, and a major tourist attraction.
Go to an all hands. They have multiple serious patients coming.
Mayor Eric Adams confirming that 2 of the 277 people on board died.
Our hearts go out to the family members, and many family members are going to be traveling here from Mexico.
A Mexican official confirming one of those killed was America Yamilet Sanchez. At least 22 others were hurt, according to the Mexican Navy. Moments before the crash, many sailors seen standing on the masts. A tugboat was seen on camera around the time of the crash. It's unclear right now what its involvement was, if any. The mayor says a mechanical mishap made the vessel lose power, and the river's strong current pushed the ship backward.
Because of the current, it looks like it ended up under the Brooklyn Bridge, and that's where the tragedy occurred with the masts.
Dramatic video shows some people dangling in the air after impact. The boat was on display in New York's seaport and on its way to Iceland. Those plans put on hold now. Officials say the nearly 142-year-old bridge was not seriously damaged.
There are many more questions than answers as to how the accident occurred and whether it could have been prevented.
The National Transportation Safety Board is investigating with the New York City Police Department as they try to figure out what exactly went wrong.
Well, the FBI is releasing new details on a possible motive after a car bombing outside a Palm Springs fertility clinic over the weekend. Saturday's attack injured 4 people. Investigators are calling it an act of terrorism. The suspect, identified as 25-year-old Guy Bartkus, died in that blast. Law enforcement officials tell NBC News that he was driven by an anti-natalist ideology, which is a belief that no one should have children.
Subject had nihilistic ideations, and this was a targeted attack against the IVF facility. Make no mistake, we are treating this, as I said yesterday, as an intentional act of terrorism.
The clinic says no eggs, embryos, or reproductive materials were damaged in that blast.
7:42 right now on WCNC Plus, and search efforts continued this morning after an EF3 tornado hit the city of St. Louis. Now more severe weather could be on the way. NBC's Robert Townsend talked to a family who lost their mother in that storm.
In the midst of a terrifying tornado Friday afternoon,
I was just rushing through the storm.
A frantic Reginald Holmes raced home to the 4500 block of Cote Brilliant in North St. Louis, worried about his mom, Dolores Holmes.
So I was calling her name, everything, flipping over stuff, just, trying to get a response, no response.
The tornado ripped off the roof of their 3-story brick house of 40 years.
Second floor, third floor, completely gone. Back kitchen, everything completely gone.
Suddenly, near all the fallen bricks, wood, and tossed siding, unimaginable heartbreak.
I just happened to look on the way down to the basement through that corridor. She was like she was on her way down there trying to make it to the basement. Just lost of words, bro.
In a flash, his 70-year-old mom, the matriarch of their family, the beloved great-grandmother, neighbor who loved to work in her yard, was gone.
She got a pulse. She can still be safe.
Shantae Gibbs, a certified nursing assistant, tried to give her godmom CPR.
I brought back so many people over the last 20 years. If me not to be able to bring her back, it's devastating.
A devastating loss that's forever changed their lives.
And once the house came down on her, it's like broke her neck. Man, I miss my mama, man. Every day thinking about it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard,
Well, this morning we can tell you Boone-based Samaritan's Purse is providing help on the ground in those hard-hit areas. Trailers stocked with tools and emergency equipment on the ground in Missouri and Kentucky as well this morning. Today, volunteers will begin tarping roofs, cleaning debris, and helping recover personal items for some of those disaster victims. Coming up at 8:30, we're going to be talking live with the Samaritan's Purse volunteer about how they're helping out there at a critical time. And before that, at 8 a.m., we're going to talk to WCNC Charlotte's Walker Lawson, who's going to join us live there from St. Louis with a look at some of the damage.
And our Chris Mulcahy has been tracking this. We could see some more severe weather for the area.
Yeah, and luckily for us, we're not under the vast amount of the tornado threat that they're seeing off towards the west, which I want to go over the enhanced Fujita scale. Originally, it was the Fujita scale, which was way off for wind estimations. It started in the 70s by Dr. Timothy Fujita, and then it was reestablished in 2007. Now, an EF0 to EF5, and a lot of the tornado damage that you were just looking at spanned anywhere from EF2 to EF4. Now, specifically, St. Louis had an EF3 with a reported peak wind of about 155 miles per hour. That's enough to take out some of the exterior walls, take the roofs off of things, collapse some buildings, and also take off walls, especially on two-story brick buildings. Absolutely devastating. Anything over an EF2 is categorized as a strong tornado. Well, they got another shot at it again. Meanwhile, for us, we have a chance for rain, a spotty shower, a thunderstorm. A few could be strong to severe, but our tornado threat is fairly low. It's mainly off towards the west, but that widespread rain will continue to try to work its way a little bit closer to home. I think it's really only York and Chester County you have the best chance for rain in general, but storms as well. Current temperatures right now, we're at 64 in Charlotte, 60 in Hickory. Now we're beginning our upward climb. We'll eventually hit the lower to the mid 80s later this afternoon. You can see in the background, though, that's really a testament of what you could expect today. We got clouds at all different levels, so the sky is constantly changing throughout the day. So at times you'll see a little more blue sky. At other times you'll see a little bit cloudier sky, even a darker sky as those storms are trying to start and develop. As far as our temperature trend goes, it's going to take a huge dip. Talking about a 10-degree temperature swing from Wednesday to Friday. This is the power of a cold front, and the mid to the upper 80s is the warm sector of this, and then eventually we're going to be either side of 80 degrees, mainly in the upper 70s. As far as our lows are concerned, tomorrow morning will be one of the warmer lows, the second warmest over the next 10 days. Cold front takes a couple of days to drag in those cooler temperatures. By Saturday, starting off in the lower 50s with some of us dipping down to the 40s. That'll be a shock and awe. And our precipitation chances, as I mentioned, highest I think really Tuesday night into Wednesday, and then the following Tuesday looks to be another spike as well. The reason why we're seeing even a chance for rain or storms today is because the stationary front. This has been the main deal and our best chance for rain recently, as long as you have one of these fronts that are dancing around. Since it is concentrated further to the west and southwest, better chance for Atlanta storms and over in Tennessee compared to what we have here in the Carolinas. But it will start to shift its way to the north, so we do have the slightest potential going forward. But it's not until the cold front that is causing all those problems with the big low through the central part of the United States. Once that gets closer, and that'll be Tuesday night into Wednesday, that's going to be a better severe weather chance. So here's what it looks like for today. Seeing developing showers and storms. We wouldn't be surprised if this one has a severe thunderstorm warning at this point southwest of Asheville, pushing its way to the south and east. So really 4 to 8 o'clock is going to be your best window across the Charlotte area for today. Best chance I would say is after midnight for tomorrow. After that, drying out for your Memorial Day weekend. So that's great news there. Majestic, how is our morning commute going so far?
Well, it's been pretty quiet all morning long, but now it's starting to pick up. You can see I-77 here. It's a nice weather morning, but those roads are starting to bring some headaches for some of us. We do have still this ongoing accident on I-45 northbound lanes being impacted. A crash right before exit 26, so we're seeing portions of the road shaded in yellow and orange, just indicating slow-moving conditions. To the south of Charlotte, let's take it here. We have I-45 northbound lanes being impacted as there is a crash right after exit 4. That's actually Still Creek Road, so if you typically drive that way, you can see lots of slow-moving conditions there. Off to the east, Tybola Road, been tracking this accident that's been ongoing for quite some time now, seeing that yellow impacting us about that medium amount there. And then off to the east, we have these two accidents that are pretty close to each other. I'll zoom on into this one first. What we're knowing about this one, or what we're seeing, is that it's actually on Independence Boulevard. There's a crash near Hayden Way, yellow indicating just kind of that medium impact, and then lots of red here. There's a crash on Idlewild Road at Matthews Mint Hill Road. If we learn more about these, we'll be sure to let you know.
Jesse, thanks. 7:49 right now on WCNC Plus, and it's time to connect the dots. When we make the news make sense, stress and food often go hand in hand, but it might not be as bad as you think. Feeling stressed? You're not alone, and you're probably reaching for snacks. Let's connect the dots. We've long believed that stress makes us eat more, but new research suggests that may not always be true. A Harvard psychologist says stress can actually mess with our perception. You think you ate more, but you've eaten less or the same amount. Studies show stress affects people differently. About 40% eat more, 40% eat less, and 20% don't change at all. But long-term stress is a different story. It raises cortisol levels, which increases cravings and fat storage, especially around the belly. That's when comfort food kicks in. But experts say it's a quick fix that doesn't actually lower stress. Instead, dietitians recommend building what they call a craving toolkit. Things like staying hydrated, getting enough sleep, and using short distractions like taking a walk or reading a book, which can retrain your brain. And that is connecting the dots.
Well, with just a few weeks of school left for many students, they're probably getting ready to head to the beach, have vacation, enjoy a few months off. But at the same time, some parents may be thinking about ways to keep their kids engaged in learning and prevent any learning loss. WCNC Charlotte anchor Lisa Washington speaks to experts about how to combat the summer slide.
Summer slide. It's the term that describes the learning loss or regression when students are out of school for the summer. A study conducted by the Northwest Evaluation Association, which creates educational assessments, shows during the summer, students in 3rd to 5th grades lose about 20% of their learning in reading and 27% in math. To avoid summer slide, CMS Deputy Superintendent Dr. Melissa Balknight says parents should use a practical approach, something as simple as following a recipe while cooking.
For them to be able to read the recipe with you to make sure that you're following the recipe, incorporate the math activities with the fractions with the recipe, all of those things, allow them to build a budget this summer. That's good for the small children, but also great for the high school students as we do financial literacy in high school.
Other suggestions include being the historian or photographer for your summer vacation, creating a schedule for daily or weekly activities, and checking out books from your local library. CMS families can access the iReady Family Center through the CMS website, which allows teachers to track a student's progress, and the district's family engagement website.
So they can certainly work 30 minutes twice a week at home on iReady, and that would certainly continue to engage them and move them forward. And then we could look at that data even as they come back to school in the fall, which would be helpful.
Younger children are most prone to summer slide, with those from low-income families being disproportionately affected. Dr. Balknight says what's most important is finding what works best for you and your child.
Some type of activity so they don't come back to school in August and they're having to remember, now how do I do this, or let me get started. And so we just want to make sure that parents find a good sweet spot for their specific student and how they can stay engaged in the summer.
Lisa Washington, WCNC Charlotte.
It's interesting because the internet now provides so many resources to stay up to date during the summer. It provides equally as many distractions for those same kids.
Yeah, I was going to say a little less tablet time may be good unless you're going to do the right things on there. Now, in your entertainment headlines this morning, the final 5 on NBC's The Voice will perform live tonight on the show's season finale.
It's a big night. 2 performances each will help America decide who should win season 27. Hard to believe. NBC's Mark Barger brings us up to speed on the finalists.
Brian Olsen. Her dad finished 3rd on The Voice last spring. Jaden Cree, congratulations. Team Bublé's 80s pop maven has a chance to do even better.
I still don't believe that it's real, and I mean, even like getting 5th place is insane.
The playoff round knocked Jalen Johnston out of the show, but a super save from its coach brought the country singer back.
I'll see you out there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Definitely hard to contain the excitement. I mean, I've been bouncing off the walls since Tuesday.
Can you believe this? No, neither can I. Actually, I can.
Adam David's instant save performance earned him the last finale spot and a 1 in 5 chance to win it all.
I'm really grateful either way, but we're gonna keep visualizing Carson Daly saying my name.
You're a singer. You're not just someone that has a cool voice.
Right.
Team Adams' Lucia Flores Weissman has impressed her coach all season. Now she's trying to savor this major moment.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I don't want to spend it and then forget what it was like.
John Legend's Renzo has rocked his way to the finale, but along with his talent,
let's win this.
He's also got a pair of very lucky socks.
So when I wear them, I just feel like, you know, I'm being lifted off the ground, like I'm flying or like I can kind of do anything.
That might include winning The Voice. Mark Barger, NBC News.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, but keep it here on WCNC Plus. At 7:56, we'll have an update on weather and traffic, and we'll also stream some breaking headlines starting back at 8.
Well, good morning, everybody. 85 degrees today, still an above average day. We should be around 81 and just a little bit cooler than what we had yesterday. Yesterday we had 87. Mixed cloud and sunshine throughout the day. Our best rain chances not all that high. Isolated today, tomorrow, but it's really Tuesday night to Wednesday morning that we have our best potential. However, after 2 o'clock, a developing shower storm is not out of the question, especially further to the southwest. Better chance for thunderstorms here, so Rock Hill, Chester, 2 locations that have the best chance for storms, but really it could line up and move through the Charlotte area between about 4 and 8 o'clock. But then, as you can see, during your Tuesday evening and overnight, I think rain becomes the most widespread for your Wednesday morning. Our Guy Roofing 7-day forecast shows the temperatures looking good, mid to the upper 80s. A cold front will bring us to either side of 80 degrees in the 70s by the weekend. Majestic?
All right. Monday morning, too, if you are waking up, getting ready to head out the door this morning. First things first, I'm not seeing any major impacts. I-77 here, you can see it is definitely busy, but it is smooth moving for most of us. But do want to highlight a few accidents as you are heading out the door. We'll start with this one here. I've had my eyes on it for a while now. It's I-45 and northbound lanes being impacted as there was an accident just before exit 26. Another one that is blocking lanes due to a crash on the Brookshire Boulevard near Linwood Ave. We're going to have more coming up on WCNC Plus. Hope you'll join us, and we'll see you then.
Streaming live at 8 a.m. right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Kaylin Hagwood in for Lisa. We begin with cleanup still underway in parts of the Midwest and Southeast this morning after deadly tornadoes tore through over the weekend. As you take a look, you can see some of the damage. That severe weather outbreak responsible for the deaths of at least 28 people across 3 states. A preliminary EF3 tornado touched down just outside of St. Louis on Friday, reducing homes to rubble.
WCNC Charlotte's Walker Lawson actually live there in Missouri this morning. Walker, what kind of damage are you seeing there from where you're standing?
Well, guys, the damage has been devastating. Now, where we are right now, this was the safest spot that we could get to this morning because the sun just rose about an hour ago. But if we were to go only a mile down the street, there are hardly. It is we are right now. Now, again, we are still in center city limits for people that aren't from the St. Louis area. This is pretty much a downtown area, downtown specifically, only about a couple miles away. Still within city limits. So again, as I show you the damage, you see that we have branches down, but really to just show you the strength of the wind, right here on this sidewalk, this is actually a block of cement that flew off. Okay, so we can see this block of cement. We do have wood and different elements that have fallen from buildings in front of us. So the biggest issue right now that some of these communities are facing, not only with the cleanup that's difficult to get through because of the magnitude of it, is really the fact that we have the possibility of storms yet again today. So we are under a weather impact alert day here in St. Louis again for today and tomorrow. There's the possibility of strong winds, hail, and isolated tornadoes again, heavy rainfall also. So again, adding insult to injury here for these cleanup efforts. Now, we are here at a nursing home facility where residents were actually evacuated just moments after the tornado hit because there was no power. There still is no power here 4 days later. Again, so we spoke to some of those employees who say they're working to do everything they can to get back here, and they're hoping that they will all return in the next week or so.
Because this is our community and this is like our home too, and we love our residents. I love my job, so we want to get it back up and running and get the residents back home safely and get the building back together so they can get back on schedule. Like, it's time for us to get back to work, and we just been cleaning up, trying to get the glass and the debris and all the aftermath, just trying to straighten it back up so we can come back home.
Now, another big issue that they are seeing out here is in certain areas of the town, there are street lights hanging still in the roadways. So a lot of the roads are somewhat impassable in some communities. There's also a lot of the roofing hanging off of the buildings. And this morning we started to see the wind pick up. So that's definitely going to be a concern again today and tomorrow with the possibility of storms, with a lot of these items loose and some places not being able to successfully put tarps on these buildings. So it's going to be a difficult time ahead, especially with the bad weather that we're expecting over the next 2 days.
Walker, I mean, when you just panned off, it's not often you see brick buildings like that torn in two. Is it too early? Are you already seeing volunteers there helping out?
Yeah, so really what we've seen mostly on our time around has been community members, of course, coming out in support. So yesterday there is a local organization here that went ahead and started bringing out food. They started having a space for people to come and congregate to try and get essential items because really in this area, so there's not many stores or shops, and we've ran into this issue here as we're working here, is a lot of these businesses don't have power or electricity. So getting just your daily essential items are difficult because they're closed. So you're having to go further away. So there are groups of volunteers that have started to set up areas where people can get these items. But we've also just seen a lot of community members that live here coming together and cleaning up. Here at this nursing facility that we've been at, we have seen these employees staying around the clock. They've stayed the night here just to try to clean the building up and to get different places going. And again, as I mentioned, I know I showed a second ago, and I think we were showing some video footage. But like I said, this cement block that's right here on the sidewalk, this is items that were flying off of buildings when this tornado hit. So on the other side of town, there are people just trying to clean the streets up just to get all of these items and all of these different parts of homes and buildings cleaned up and moved to the side. So a lot of volunteers have been out and about, community members working on that just to try and get the streets to be passable, but also again for that concern with things blowing as we go into the next 2 days with rain, strong winds, and the possibility of hail and tornadoes again.
For folks at home watching this thinking, why in the world is Walker Lawson in St. Louis? Take you behind the scenes of a news department. What happens is, like with Helene, we had news partnerships across the country who sent in resources here to North Carolina to help us cover the story to bring to you. We respond to favors. So when severe weather strikes in certain places like that, Walker volunteered himself and is there in St. Louis helping cover there for the local people, but also for our viewers here in the Carolinas. And Walker, you're doing a superb job. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Boone-based Samaritan's Purse also providing help there on the ground in some of those hard-hit states. Trailers stocked with tools and emergency equipment on the ground in Missouri and in Kentucky this morning. Today, volunteers are going to begin tarping roofs. You heard Walker talk about that, cleaning debris and helping recover personal items for some of those victims. And folks, keep it right here on WCNC Plus, because we're going to be speaking live to one of those volunteers on the ground just across the state line in Kentucky. That's coming up in our next half hour here on WCNC Plus.
And Chris, we know more severe weather is on the way for that area. What can you tell us about that?
I think you could have a repeat of what we've already seen in Illinois, in Kentucky, and St. Louis. And sadly, St. Louis is yet again under a severe weather risk. Now, it's not the heart of it. So anything in the hash lines, those are for strong tornadoes. So that means it could be another outbreak of more EF2s to EF4s across the area. I don't dare say the last one, but it's the area that magenta color that's smack dab right over Oklahoma. And we know Oklahoma is right in the middle of Tornado Alley, even though there's technically a new one called Dixie Alley that's more encompassing around Arkansas, pushing areas over to Alabama. But this one is the traditional Tornado Alley, the usual setup, strong winds coming out of the northwest, that healthy push from the south coming from the Gulf. That is allowing for just the perfect recipe for tornadoes, and that's why we average about 1,200 here in the United States, where those all come together. Here's what it looks like. Check out this outbreak that we're potentially seeing right across Oklahoma. At this point, this is 2 o'clock, we're seeing developing supercells. Those are long track, severe thunderstorms that rotate. 100% of the time they'll produce hail, 30% of the time they produce a tornado. This will flourish, it'll grow, and then once you get a line, a cluster of storms, you're looking at a better chance for damaging straight line winds, but there's still supercells embedded with this. Sometimes the bookends, once you get a big bow echo like this, could produce a tornado as well. So it's mainly Arkansas and Oklahoma that have the highest threats to all this, but it does work its way into St. Louis. St. Louis, by the end of the evening, big time storms happening, which is never good when you're just still trying to clean up for the previous one. So hoping they don't get blasted again. But this storm system will fizzle out before we see it rejuvenate itself through Tennessee by tomorrow afternoon. But notice the time. It's 10 p.m. You still have a mean line that's formed, and I think likely it's still forming some severe thunderstorm warnings at that point. But once it crosses into the Carolinas, it kind of disappears, and we don't really see re-amplification of that energy until a little bit later on your Thursday. So I think it's really going to be a better chance for us to see a widespread event heading into early Wednesday morning. Current temperatures right now, we've now upgraded ourselves to 67 degrees, cooled down to 63. That was our low for this morning, and now 64 around Hickory. Statesville, you can expect 20-degree warm up from where we're at right now, 84, 75 for the Boone area in Watauga County, and then Cheraw at 86. Cheraw, by the way, you officially hit 90 for the first time this year on Friday. Charlotte wasn't as lucky. Over the next 10 days, you can see a big time uptick in the temperatures to right around 90 degrees on Wednesday. A cold front takes hold of us, bringing us back to normal on Thursday, and then we're rocking the upper 70s through your Memorial Day weekend. All right. Tonight's Low dropping down to about the mid-60s all in all, mostly cloudy to partly cloudy skies. And then our lows also taking a big dip. This will be a big shock and awe. On Saturday, dropping down to lower 50s. Realistically, we have a lot of the 40s that are popping up all over the place. So yeah, that'll be the cold this morning. As far as the coolest days, you have the upper 70s each day, Friday through Sunday, but that's not all that cool. And precipitation chances, they spike on Tuesday night and then again next Tuesday. So that is our big chance for rain. The reason why we have a chance for even a severe thunderstorm to our southwest today is because of this stationary front. If this is directly over us, we look at a better chance for strong thunderstorms across the Charlotte area. But since most of the energy is down to the southwest, it really is our southwestern viewing area that could get nipped by a shower. And then once you get the front a little bit close to us, that's where you're expecting a better chance for severe storms for your Tuesday. But this little kink that we have going on here, that really hinders that from happening. So let's get to our Guy Roofing 70 forecast quickly. Once the front passes, as I already showed you the temperatures, we'll have those lows drop down into the 50s and our highs into the lower 80s and the upper 70s. So far, so good for Memorial Day weekend. Slightest chance for some rain for the Coca-Cola 600, but so far, so good. Majestic?
All right, well, good Monday morning to you. Let's start with this. A live look outside. I-77 definitely starting to become busy. Let's see, it's 8:10 right now. So, yes, we do have lots more people out on those area roadways. We also have multiple accidents that I want to let you know about. Starting up north, I-485 northbound lane still being impacted after a crash there just before exit 26. I want to take it to the south of that one. That's where we currently have a lane that is blocked due to a crash on Berkshire Boulevard near Linwood Ave. You can still see mostly green at that spot, so not too concerned about it. But where we do have much more reds and oranges is right here. It's I-485 northbound lanes are being impacted after a crash at exit at the Steel Creek exit. So seeing those slowdowns right there. Coming up in just a few minutes, I'll be back here detailing out our drive times for our Monday morning commute.
All right, Majestic, thank you so much. Happening today, dozens of people are expected to rally ahead of a Fort Mill council meeting. They're demanding action on the controversial Silfab solar plant. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane is live in Fort Mill. He's been following this story for us. And Richard, a lot of concern over the potential location of the plant.
Yeah, the plant that's under construction right now, Kaylin. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning, everyone. Good morning to our pluses out there watching us. Basically, this is something that has residents concerned in this area for a while. We've been telling you the story. Tonight, Silfab isn't on the agenda per se, but there are items that might affect its relationship here in Fort Mill. Now, we can tell you that's why residents are preparing to rally against Silfab Solar tonight during that regular Fort Mill Town Council meeting. They're upset about the Canadian manufacturing company building that large-scale facility near neighborhoods and schools here. The $150 million project promised some 800 jobs, but it also has raised concerns due to the use of what some residents say are hazardous chemicals, and also its proximity to two new schools scheduled to open within the next year and a half. At issue is whether Silfab's heavy industrial operations belong in a light industrial zone. Residents say they plan to pack the meeting, calling for Silfab to relocate away from homes, schools, as well as senior communities. Now, some families over the months have said they fear for their health and safety and even put their homes up for sale, while others say they're holding off, waiting to see what their protests, if their protests, I should say, will sway town leaders. We heard from one resident who talked to us about her fears, and also we heard from the chief executive officer of Silfab. Take a listen.
That first feeling, I started crying. We were like, all right, we got to find a home, and it has to be far enough away from Silfab that we won't be rezoned there.
There is a commentary that saline is highly combustible, and if a car backfires here in this lot or a cigarette butt is exposed, it's going to happen. No, that's not the case. It is a fully contained process from front to back.
Now again, that meeting takes place later tonight at 7, and we'll bring you updates of what happens on all of our platforms right here in Fort Mill. We'll send it back to you.
And Richard, there's been a lot of talk about local opposition, but what's happening at the state level that could impact this project?
Yeah, Caitlin, as a matter of fact, there are two bills, as we've reported on within the last few weeks, that could affect zoning in all municipalities and towns in the state of South Carolina. And if those go through, a town like Fort Mill could say that the zone, the way that SILFAB was zoned, could be in violation, and then they could stop that construction or stop that the possible building of a plant in their municipalities. Of course, those are two bills that are coming through. If they become laws, that's what could happen. We'll pay attention to that. We'll also pay attention to this meeting tonight, and we'll keep you updated on whatever happens, including what residents as well as SILFAB have to say.
Discussion there. Thanks so much, Richard.
Now to another story a lot of folks are talking about this morning here on WCNC Plus. Reaction pouring in this morning after news of former President Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis. NBC's Alice Barr now in Washington with the latest on the next steps.
This morning, an outpouring of support for former President Biden after the announcement he was diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer that spread to his bones.
Once the cancer has spread to the bones, it's no longer curable, but it's very treatable and very controllable.
The former president's personal office noting the cancer appears to be hormone sensitive, making it more likely to respond to treatment, and saying he was diagnosed on Friday after increasing urinary symptoms. As president and vice president, Mr. Biden spearheaded a cancer moonshot initiative aimed at improving treatment and prevention, speaking frequently on the topic after losing his son Beau to brain cancer in 2015.
It's fair to say one of the most devastating words anyone can hear, and it's not hyperbole, is cancer.
Well wishes are pouring in from both sides of the aisle. Former President Obama writing, "Nobody has done more to find breakthrough treatments for cancer in all its forms than Joe." Former Vice President Kamala Harris saying Joe is a fighter who will face this challenge with strength, resilience, and optimism. President Trump writing that he and the First Lady are saddened to hear about the diagnosis and wish Joe a fast and successful recovery. A source familiar with the Biden's thinking tells NBC News the former president and family are meeting with doctors and considering multiple treatment options, including hormone treatment. Where he'll be treated, not yet clear, though the support behind him is. Amid well wishes for the former president, the work of Washington continues. Overnight, House Republicans advanced a massive spending package of President Trump's policy priorities. It's expected to need changes before final passage. The president also speaking today with Russian President Vladimir Putin on ending his war in Ukraine. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Some really vital programs that monitor the ocean could be at risk of federal funding cuts. The proposed 2026 budget includes a $2.5 billion cut to the department that oversees the program. It provides real-time data that helps navigate harbors, route ships through storms, and predict hurricane intensity. The data is also used by the U.S. Coast Guard and National Weather Service. However, because the budget is also approved by House and Senate lawmakers, the cuts are not guaranteed.
Looking ahead, the funeral for McAdenville Mayor Jim Robinette is set for this Wednesday. He passed away on Friday. Robinette was first appointed as mayor in 2016 and then won 2 additional terms. He was a U.S. Army veteran and served the town for nearly 20 years before becoming mayor. He was 80 years old.
Also happening today, North Carolina Governor Josh Stein set to announce his second Hurricane Helene budget plan. He'll be in Western North Carolina today to visit businesses impacted by his previous recovery grants. That announcement set to begin at 11 this morning. We'll bring you updates right here on WCNC Plus.
Good morning, good morning. So we got some rain to the west. This is now starting to shift to the southeast. This is barely going to nip, I think, Chester County. It's guiding right along the stationary front. The stationary front has moved. So this is a quasi-stationary front. Now that it's to the southwest, it's going to remain there. It's going to dance around, going to do one of these, and it's not until later on tonight that it starts to shift back to the north. That's why this area here, closer to the Carolinas, is under a low to a medium threshold for a severe storm. Because whenever you have a hot and humid day and then add a front to it, those three lift everything up for a more widespread thunderstorm potential. Barely on the cusp for our viewing area for a low risk for severe storms, but I'm still going to mention 4 to 8 is still going to be a decent possibility. that little batch of rain that I was showing you, I think it could provide a brief shower from Rock Hill to Chester to close out the morning. But as early as 1 to 2 o'clock, we're starting to see storms fire up in the western North Carolina and western side of South Carolina. I think it's after 2 that we see our maybe first developing small storm, just a little popcorn guy on the radar to begin the afternoon. By mid to late afternoon, that's where we're seeing a lot more storms develop, especially in this area of yellow. So again, it's 4 to 8 o'clock. Best chance we can see a storm anywhere north and south, especially along I-85 to close out the afternoon. And then once you get to around sunset after 8 o'clock, it starts to disappear. So that's round 1. By tomorrow, we have a low potential for severe storms, but this is mainly for the evening and for the overnight. It's actually great timing for this. I'm really happy that we don't have a front that's going to collide right in the middle of the afternoon, because then we could be under the gun for what we're seeing further off towards the west. The widespread severe thunderstorm warnings and even tornado warnings can be embedded in that. Breaking down that yellow, the lowest chance for a tornado really for our western zones. So the mountains, you do have a chance for that, and this again is around midnight and beyond. And then also some isolated large hail and some damaging winds. But again, the timing of the day is really going to help us out. I was showing you this earlier. A storm starting to flourish right around the Arkansas area through the day on Tuesday, heading into Tennessee. That's where we have a mean line of storms. At this point, the little bookends and kinks could spin up a tornado. Strong straight line winds right along the leading edge. That's where we could see our potential, but it looks like it's going to wait until the early morning hours to right around sunrise on Wednesday for that threat. So keep that in mind. It's also going to feel a whole lot better, less humid on the backside of this system heading into your Memorial Day weekend. Temperatures much cooler and a little bit more spring-like with highs in the upper 70s and not as humid. Hopefully your morning commute is not as busy, but I know the hour, Majestic.
Oh, it's definitely picking up, that's for sure. We have multiple accidents I want to let you know about. 821 right now. You can see my map. It is very active. We'll start with this one here, our ongoing accident. It's actually a lane that is blocked at this point on Brookshire Boulevard near Lindwood Ave. Not seeing significant slowdowns, but definitely medium impacts there. Just to the south of it, I-45, if you take that northbound lanes right now are being highly impacted because of a crash at Still Creek Road. We're seeing that stop and go traffic out that direction. Just off to the east, we have 2 back-to-back accidents. We'll zoom on to this one because we're seeing some bigger impacts there. There's a crash on Idlewild Road at Matthews Mint Hill Road. You can see lots of orange and red popping up there. And then if you typically take Independence Boulevard, there's currently a crash near Hayden Way.
All right, Majestic, thank you. Well, with the spring-like temperatures and rain here in Charlotte, mosquitoes are back.
One theory states that pesky bugs may be attracted to certain colors. But is that true? WCNC Charlotte's Megan Bragg verifies.
Question, are mosquitoes attracted to certain colors? Let's verify. Our sources, this article that appeared in Nature Communications, Jeff Riffle, one of the authors of the paper, and a professor in the Department of Biology at the University of Washington, and Dr. Michael Rowe, a professor at NC State who studies insect toxicology. Professor Riffle says mosquitoes carry diseases that impact 1 billion people per year and cause the deaths of more than 1 million people per year. He says that's why his team started this study.
So we wanted to really take a close look and see, can we understand their vision a little bit more? And if we do understand their vision, can we actually utilize that?
The study found mosquitoes are most attracted to the colors black, aqua, red, and orange. Black is due to the environments they like to be in.
Mosquitoes really like dark black colors. And what it might indicate is that they are really sensitive to desiccation or losing water. And so they want to find dark, shady areas to rest.
The reason they love red and orange colors is because that's what human skin looks like to them.
No matter what your skin tone or how dark or light you are, we are, dominantly reflecting the orange and red from our skin.
The reason for mosquitoes liking aqua is still a mystery to Riffle. The study also found mosquitoes are only attracted to certain colors when the presence of carbon dioxide is around. Because humans breathe that out, it then attracts the mosquitoes to us.
Only time they showed a preference is if they first detected or smelled the carbon dioxide from our breath.
Some people feel like
I'm really I'm like a mosquito magnet. That's because they smell good to mosquitoes.
So we can verify that, yes, mosquitoes are attracted to certain colors.
While mosquitoes are always going to be attracted to our skin, try wearing purple or green clothing to try and keep them away since they aren't as attracted to those colors. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
And always keep in mind, if there's something you would like us to verify, email us at verify@wcnc.com. Mosquitoes like you?
My mom feels like she's a mosquito magnet. Me, I don't really get bit like that.
Me and your mama.
All the time?
All the time. I go outside, I actually have bug bites on me right now. It's bad. I need to start wearing that green or purple. Maybe that's the key.
Got to change those colors.
That's right. All right, we're going to take a quick break as we take a live look right now over Uptown on your Monday morning. Chris, standing by, he's going to have a check of your Monday forecast. We'll also have a check of your Monday morning commute. That's coming your way with headlines at 8:30. Keep it right here on WCNC Plus.
Well, good day, everyone. Temperature is 67 degrees around Charlotte, 64 in Hickory, and then we have some of those upper-level clouds mixing in with some mid-level clouds. It means it's going to be really a partly sunny to a mostly cloudy afternoon, but at times you will see some areas of blue sky. 81 is where we should be. 85 is where we're going today, but I think between about 4 and 8 o'clock, you do have a chance for a thunderstorm to bubble up. You can see for our muggy meter, temperatures are hovering right around that 64-degree point, so that really is that air you can wear going forward. And tonight, temperatures dropping down to the mid-60s, but by tomorrow, 86 degrees and then 88 on Wednesday. After that, we're going to be cooling down significantly. Let's check our morning commute with Majestic. How's it looking so far?
All right, good Monday morning to you. Live look outside. A busy I-77 as you're waking up, heading out the doors, starting your Monday morning commute. Do want to let you know about a couple of accidents that are ongoing. I want to highlight this one here because we're seeing a lot of red and yellow popping up, indicating that your Monday morning commute will be impacted by this. A lane is actually blocked at Brookshire Boulevard near Linwood Ave, so we are seeing those stop and go impacts there. And then just off to the west of us, we have I-485, those northbound lanes also being impacted at Steel Creek Road, seeing that red there, really indicating a backup there. Off to the east, want to talk about this one. This is a crash on Idlewild Road at Matthews Mint Hill Road. I've been tracking that carefully now for the last 30 minutes or so and still seeing those ongoing impacts. We'll have more on all the accidents that we're seeing on this Monday morning coming up this morning on WCNC Plus.
morning, and thank you so much for joining us here live on WCNC Plus at 8:30. I'm Kaylin Hagwood, in for Lisa.
And I'm Ben Thompson. Happy Monday, everybody. Happening today, we're going to find out who's going to fill that open seat on Charlotte City Council.
The District 6 vacancy has sparked weeks of interest, and tonight council members are set to make their pick. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards live for us this morning with a closer look at the process and who's eligible. Destiny.
That's right. It's been more than a month of no representation on City Council for District 6. So today is finally the day that we will learn who fills that vacant seat. And this list of candidates has really brought in a lot of attention. Now, in the beginning, all the applicants had to follow certain qualifications. They had to be registered Republicans and live within District 6. Initially, 12 people applied, including community activists, a conservative columnist, former city council members, and even former District 6 council member Tarek Bakari's wife, Krista Bakari. Krista Bakari previously ran for state office and has spoken out recently about city leadership. Another high-profile candidate is Andrew Dunn, a conservative political writer and editor. 2 original applicants were later ruled ineligible due to issues with party registration or residency, so now 10 candidates remain in consideration. During a public forum last week, eligible candidates spoke on their priorities, from continuing Tarek Bakari's focus on public safety to prioritizing growth in the city.
I support fiscally responsible policies, public safety, smart development, and affordability.
Look at what we've done, not just with the airport, but all the laws and things that have changed to make our city a better place.
Now, after tonight's appointment, there will be an informal swearing in happening tomorrow, followed by a more formal swearing in ceremony on June 2nd. And that is the day that the new member will be a part of their first Charlotte City Council meeting. I'll send it back to you guys live here from Uptown.
I know many on Charlotte City Council said that they had a preference for somebody who really didn't want the job, somebody who was not going to run for it again and was okay with just being sort of a seat filler. And I know there's been a back and forth about who might actually be eligible. Walk us through that a little bit more.
Yeah, so in the beginning, there were 12 applicants. As of Wednesday last week, there were 3 that were declared ineligible. However, 2 are still ineligible because one had a party affiliation that was not Republican, and then the other did not live within District 6. So they were scratched out of the running. However, the soundbite you just heard from Larisha Poor, she was actually mistakenly marked as ineligible. It had her originally in the system as an unaffiliated voter, but it was later clarified that or later confirmed that she was a registered Republican, so she was placed back on the list. So 10 different candidates now. And important to note that it was a mix of also some of them that said they would just keep the seat until November, and then others are planning to campaign to keep the seat going forward after the election in November. And that appointment announcement, who will fill the District 6 seat, that'll happen during tonight's City Council meeting. So we'll see who it ends up being.
Yeah, many on council not want to be seen as giving somebody a leg up in that election come this fall. All right, Destiny Richards reporting live for us here in Charlotte. Destiny, thank you.
Well, good morning, everybody. Temperatures right now 67 degrees for Monroe, for Charlotte, 68 degrees in Rock Hill, and then 64 for Morganton and for Hickory. Now, our highs today reaching the mid-80s, not too far from where we've been over the last 3 days, where we've had back-to-back days hitting 87 degrees for a high around the Charlotte area. Closer to 90 down in the southeast, though, for you and Sharon of 2 of the 3 of those days. Afternoon forecast, I think all in all, the clouds are going to win out across our sky. Partly sunny to mostly cloudy skies, but you will have some sunnier parts from place to place. Lower to the mid-80s today with a slight heat index, as we still have some of that mugginess in the air. Chance for rain primarily to the southwest. So the areas in the dark blue, you have a chance for storms. The rest of us just really seeing a chance for a stronger thunderstorm from Asheville to Spartanburg over to Chester. Rock Hill, you're right on the cusp. And you can see by about 1 o'clock, we're firing up some showers and some activity. But it's a little bit closer, I think, to about the 4 o'clock hour. That's where you have the stronger thunderstorms. Again, further to the southwest, so close to Greenville and over to Georges, we're going to have most of this activity. But from 2 to 4, you might have an isolated shower here in this area in the blue. From 4 to 8, better chance for the greater Charlotte area could have a passing shower. But I think a lot of this is going to die out as we get a little bit closer to the evening hours into around sunset. For tomorrow's forecast, well, it depends where you are. There's a slight chance for a few pop-up showers and thunderstorms, I would say mainly during the evening, but a lot of us are going to miss it. So most of tomorrow staying dry. Could maybe have an isolated storm in the middle of the day, highs in the lower to the mid 80s once again. But it's Tuesday night that really stands out from all the rest. So this is the one that we're looking at. I think the only time that we need to be weather alert during this time period is deeper into your Tuesday night heading into your Wednesday morning. So check it out. Here's around one that I was talking about. Again, 4 to 8 is going to be that potential. Most of your Tuesday don't have much going on. Isolated storm at best, but it's a better chance during the evening that maybe we have an isolated shower or a thunderstorm. It's going to be a tough go trying to break the cap here to really allow these to be widespread. But what's left over from a severe weather system that's going to be a line or a bow echo coming from Tennessee will work its way across the North Carolina mountains by the early morning. At this point, we're starting to see things unravel. You could still have some strong potential associated with this line, but it's arriving at the right time of day where the atmosphere is the most stable. So I think a lot of that is going to dissipate before it gets here. Check it out. Rolling our futurecast. I'm going to look at it one more time for your Tuesday. Here's 1 o'clock. Here's 5 o'clock. Good chance that all this breaks up, but still stay weather alert during this time period. Many of us will be sleeping. Our dew points low to the mid 60s on Tuesday and Wednesday. Feel much drier and comfortable after that. Take care.
All right, Chris, thanks. Parts of the Midwest and Southeast are unrecognizable this morning after deadly tornadoes over the weekend. The severe weather outbreak is responsible for at least 28 deaths across 3 states. A preliminary EF3 tornado touched down just outside of St. Louis on Friday, reducing several brick homes to rubble. And in Kentucky, winds reached more than 100 miles an hour, sending homes and debris flying across neighborhoods.
And as they always do, Boone-based Samaritan's Purse providing help there on the ground for those hard-hit states. Trailers stocked with tools and emergency equipment on the ground there in Missouri and Kentucky as of this morning. Today, volunteers are going to begin tarping over roofs, cleaning debris, helping recover personal items for all those disaster victims. And this morning, live from Kentucky, is Jacob Brutz. He's a project manager with Samaritan's Purse. Jacob, I am sure you have your hands full. Thanks for taking a few minutes with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Can you just describe for us some of the damage that you're seeing there?
Absolutely. So I actually came in from the south, from Tennessee, and right on the highway, as soon as we got to London, Kentucky, you could see the damage just right off the highway, both left and right. Probably 400 homes that you could immediately see were just completely destroyed. Contents strewn about the rolling hills. You had trees snapped over. Roofs were picked up and carried 200, 300 yards away and set down in the middle of fields. It was just absolutely devastating to the town of London, to just southern Kentucky in general. And I know St. Louis saw a lot of damage as well. It's really just overwhelming to these communities around here.
And what kind of support has your organization been providing since you guys arrived?
We actually just sent out our first work teams today. We were getting ready Saturday and Sunday, and we have about 45 individuals out this morning working on roof tarping. There's a lot of content recovery. We have individuals and volunteers going through these homes, just trying to find the personal items of these homeowners, these individuals who have really just lost everything. Many are overwhelmed and don't even know where to begin. So we're able to come alongside them, just emotionally support them, walk them through the process of looking through for these items, trying to get a tarp back on their roof, trying to clear up their yard, get trees out of the way so they can move back in. It's really just the first step in a long process of being able to move on from this disaster.
And I'm sure I don't have to tell you, but there are storms in the forecast this week. How does that impact your team and the people you're helping? Because safety's got to be number one.
Absolutely. Well, because of those storms, our first priority is those tarp jobs to get onto the roof and cover up holes in the roof, those shingles that are missing, just prepare the people that still have their home for the rains and winds coming in the future. But also, everybody here has just gone through a storm, and so they're already worried about the next one. There's a lot of trauma with that about what the next one may bring, and so we're just here again to support them, to love on these individuals that were affected, to the people that weren't directly affected. This entire town has family members, church members, friends that have either lost their lives or lost loved ones. So we're really just here for that emotional support. We will continue to be here when that storm comes through, and we'll respond if needed to more damage that comes of that. But again, we always just hope and pray that this community will be spared from the next one.
How can folks here in the Carolinas and across the country help right now?
Well, the first thing, of course, is just to keep this community and keep our volunteers in your prayers for those that have lost so much in these storms, for the loved ones they've lost, for the personal items, for the entire homes that have been destroyed and damaged. We just always want to keep them lifted up in prayer and let them know that they're not alone in this disaster, that they have so many people around the country supporting them. And then, of course, if people do have the opportunity to volunteer, we are taking overnight volunteers, both here in Kentucky and in St. Louis. Individuals can go to SamaritansPurse.org, sign up as a volunteer, just see the many different opportunities to get involved that way as well.
Well, we know the generosity of folks here in the Carolinas really knows bounds when it comes to things like this.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time and for what you guys are doing.
Thank you very much.
All right, 8:41 right now. Let's get a check of traffic.
All right, let's do it. I want to show you I-77 near Griffith, where we do have a big slowdown happening right now because of an ongoing accident. You can see camera is frozen there, but it is really slow moving at this time. Let's take you up to that direction because that's exactly where we're seeing that backup. You see all of this red here, that's indicating where the traffic is stop and go. We have a stalled vehicle at this point. It's in the left-hand lane. Again, I-77 northbound just past Griffith Street, and one of the 3 lanes are currently closed, so making for a big backup for your Monday morning commute if you're taking I-77 north near Griffith. I-45 northbound lanes, we're still seeing some of those slowdowns, but our icon has disappeared, which is good news, meaning that accident has been cleared. Another ongoing accident is right here. We're seeing that at Arrowwood Road. There's a crash there at Kings Creek Drive. We'll have more on your traffic update coming up here in just a bit. Kaylin.
All right, thank you so much. This morning, we're learning the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Fraternal Order of Police will move forward with its vote of no confidence against CMPD Chief Johnny Jennings. The preliminary survey wrapped up over the weekend with over 800 people responding, 70% reportedly voting in favor of moving forward. The move follows a controversial settlement between the city and the chief, which stemmed from a dispute and perceived threats over officers who wanted to wear outer carrier vests.
Turning now to some national headlines this morning and new questions over a stunning moment. A tall ship smashed into the Brooklyn Bridge, killing 2 people. NBC's Maya Eaglin has a closer look this morning at the devastating crash.
New questions after a ship crashed into New York City's iconic Brooklyn Bridge, killing 2 sailors.
There's nothing to hit the bridge.
Those along the river watched in horror, some running away, as the Mexican Navy training ship collided with the bridge around 8:20 p.m.
What is going on?
The Brooklyn Bridge is a critical part of New York's infrastructure, connecting Manhattan and Brooklyn, and a major tourist attraction.
Go to an all hands. They have multiple serious patients coming.
Mayor Eric Adams confirming that 2 of the 277 people on board died.
Our hearts go out to the family members, and many family members are going to be traveling here from Mexico.
A Mexican official confirming one of those killed was America Yamilet Sanchez. At least 22 others were hurt, according to the Mexican Navy. Moments before the crash, many sailors seen standing on the masts. A tugboat was seen on camera around the time of the crash. It's unclear right now what its involvement was, if any. The mayor says a mechanical mishap made the vessel lose power, and the river's strong current pushed the ship backward.
Because of the current, it looks like it ended up under the Brooklyn Bridge, and that's where the tragedy occurred, the mass.
Dramatic video shows some people dangling in the air after impact. The boat was on display in New York Seaport and on its way to Iceland. Those plans put on hold now. Officials say the nearly 142-year-old bridge was not seriously damaged.
There are many more questions than answers,
as to how the accident occurred and whether it could have been prevented.
The National Transportation Safety Board is investigating with the New York City Police Department as they try to figure out what exactly went wrong.
Well, the FBI is releasing new details on a possible motive after a car bombing outside a Palm Springs fertility clinic over the weekend. Saturday's attack injured 4 people, and investigators are calling it an act of terrorism. The suspect, identified as 25-year-old Guy Bartkus, died in that blast. Law enforcement officials tell NBC News that he was driven by an anti-natalist ideology, which is the belief that no one should have children.
Subject had nihilistic ideations, and this was a targeted attack against the IVF facility. Make no mistake, we are treating this, as I said yesterday, as an intentional act of terrorism.
The clinic says no eggs, embryos, or reproductive materials were damaged in that blast.
Well, let's get right to your forecast. We have more clouds taking over our skies compared to yesterday, but still a pretty decent day. That's why it's a little bit cooler. They will be darker at times, and we'll have a slight chance for a storm, especially down here. This front, as long as it's through this sector, you will have the possibility of a pop-up shower and thunderstorm, especially over in Georgia and the western side of South Carolina. That's where I think you have the sweet spot for the strongest storms. But all of us will still have a chance for rain and or a storm by about 4 to 8 o'clock, especially along the I-85 corridor to end the afternoon and begin the evening. Heavy rain at times and also gusty winds is what you can expect. So here's a close look at our futurecast. Slight chance for rain in the areas in the yellow. That's the only ones that I think could see any severe storms. But it looks like we have a little trough that's going to form. That's an area of low pressure. That pops up by the end of the afternoon. So you could have an isolated storm as early as 2 to 4, but it's a better chance you have a little broken line that's starting to develop here about 6 o'clock, but it's a lot more influential and I think a better profile for a severe thunderstorm warning or two from Greenville to Spartanburg. However, we're right on the cusp in parts of, let's call it Cleveland County, York, Chester, to Lancaster County. Just be advised that that's how you could end the afternoon and begin the evening. Once the sun sets, we're pretty much clearing the slate. The setup that we have, the stationary front's going to bend around, and then eventually we get the warm front influence of this, and that will allow us to warm up closer to the upper 80s and 90 on Wednesday. Not right away for tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're waiting for this front to pass. It'll bend, it'll kink around our area. Once it starts moving to the northeast, we will have a chance for storms in the evenings, but we're really waiting for this line to push through Tennessee and work its way past the mountains. So our weather impact window, time to be weather alert. Many of us will be sleeping at this point. It's Tuesday night from about midnight till 6 a.m. However, we could extend this to maybe 8 p.m. depending on where the profile, if we have a better chance for evening storms, but heavy rain, gusty winds, and a few storms are going to be a possibility. So let me show you what that looks like. Tuesday, 7 p.m. It's at this point that I think you might have a storm or two. There's also something that's called convective inhibition. This is just a fancy term meaning that something's capping the atmosphere from really cooling down or right temperature profile to fire up storms. I think the better chance will be really east of I-77 to complete the evening. Then we're waiting for this line of storms off towards the west. At this point, you could have a few isolated cells with some hail, maybe some gustier winds, but the timing really starts to erode this line once it passes the mountains, anywhere between about 2 to 6 o'clock. Just be advised that if that holds together, you could have a stronger thunderstorm. Once we get past this system and the front clears late on Wednesday, the winds are going to pick up. We're really flipping the switch back over to a milder pattern. We have the slightest chance for rain on Thursday, but it gets a lot drier. 77 degrees is what we have on Friday, and then we're going to be rocking the upper 70s going forward. Also, our dew point's a lot more comfortable as well. Today, I think it's more humid during the evening, but we have the lower to the mid 60s for your Tuesday and Wednesday afternoon. I think feeling the stickiest really before that front officially passes. So that's going to be good news for your Memorial Day weekend. Memorial Day weekend right now shaping up because I don't have Monday on our Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. Shows 78, 77, 78 degrees. Slightest chance for a pop-up shower or thunderstorm. Starting to feel a little bit more humid by that point. So right now things are trending a good direction for the Coca-Cola 600 and also for anything you might be doing outside for Memorial Day itself. Moving on to our Guy Roofing 7-day forecast, you can see temperatures are certainly warmer to start off the week. 88 is the top, so the warmest day of the week looks to be Wednesday, and the coolest morning down to the lower 50s on Saturday. That means some of us kicking off into the 40s to begin the weekend this coming Memorial Day weekend. Majestic?
I-77 at Griffith has been pretty slow moving over the last 30 minutes or so, but now you can see traffic is starting to flow nice and smoothly for you. It's already a busy start to our Monday morning, and this is where we did have that stalled vehicle, but it has actually been cleared up. You can still see those impacts are there, so if you're heading on I-77 northbound, it might be a little slow going at times, but currently there is no ongoing accident there. We're watching this one here. It's at Kings Creek Drive, where we do have some impacts because of a crash. And then just off to the east on Albemarle Road, there's a crash near Regal Oaks Drive. We're seeing shades of yellow and orange, just indicating that, yeah, your morning commute, if you typically drive that way, will slow you down by a few minutes. There is a crash on Idlewild Road at Matthews Mint Hill Road. It extends back for quite some time. So if you typically drive that way, you might want to allow for an extra 5 or 10 minutes to get you there. All right, coming up in just a few minutes, we'll have a final look. Actually, we'll look at those drive times right now. From Gastonia heading into Charlotte, it's going to take you about 30 minutes to get you there. From Waxhaw to Charlotte, just over 50. So plan accordingly for your Monday morning commute.
Good morning, and it is Monday trivia time. Today's trivia is all about the state of North Carolina. By the way, the capital, obviously Raleigh. We're the Tar Heel State. Population 11,050,000. The state bird, the cardinal. The state flower is the dogwood. The state tree, the pine tree. And the state motto is Esse Quam Videre. Esse Quam Videre. What does that mean? To be rather than seem. To be rather than seem. That's today's trivia. I'm Larry Sprinkle.
Well, with just a few weeks of school remaining, a lot of students are getting ready to go on vacation, maybe take a few months off. But at the same time, parents may be thinking about ways to keep their kids engaged in learning and prevent any learning loss. WCNC Charlotte anchor Lisa Washington spoke with experts about how to combat the summer slide.
Summer slide. It's the term that describes the learning loss or regression when students are out of school for the summer. A study conducted by the Northwest Evaluation Association, which creates educational assessments, shows during the summer, students in 3rd to 5th grades lose about 20% of their learning in reading and 27% in math. To avoid summer slide, CMS Deputy Superintendent Dr. Melissa Balknight says parents should use a practical approach, something as simple as following a recipe while cooking.
For them to be able to read the recipe with you to make sure that you're following the recipe, incorporate the math activities with the fractions with the recipe, all of those things. Allow them to build a budget this summer. That's good for the small children, but also great for the high school students as we do financial literacy in high school.
Other suggestions include being the historian or photographer for your summer vacation, creating a schedule for daily or weekly activities, and checking out books from your local library. CMS families can access the iReady Family Center through the CMS website, which allows teachers to track a student's progress, and the district's family engagement website.
So they can certainly work 30 minutes twice a week at home on iReady, and that would certainly continue to engage them and move them forward. And then we could look at that data even as they come back to school in the fall, which would be helpful.
Younger children are most prone to summer slide, with those from low-income families being disproportionately affected. Dr. Balknight says what's most important is finding what works best for you and your child.
Some type of activity so they don't come back to school in August and they're having to remember, now how do I do this, or let me get started. And so we just want to make sure that parents find a good sweet spot for their specific student and how they can stay engaged in the summer.
Lisa Washington, WCNC Charlotte.
Yeah, parents got a lot to consider over the summer.
Be careful. I mean, you said earlier, the devices can be great because they can help, but they can also just be a distraction.
Got to be watchful. All right, check this out. A recent survey shows many dog owners prioritize their pets' opinions when it comes to romantic relationships. A majority of participants actually admit that they would end a relationship if their dog does not get along with their partner. But partnerships aren't the only things that are up for trade. When asked what they'd give up for 3 more years with their dogs, people said they'd give up their favorite food, coffee, even movie and book spoilers. Do you agree?
I mean, listen, I'm never one to put humans above dogs, even though I love mine immensely. But if you have a dog you love and this person is not jiving with your dog, then might be time to find a different person.
Do you think your dog can tell if someone's like got bad vibes?
Majestic says yes.
Yes.
I mean, because the dog's a dog still. A dog. If you're going to give a dog a treat and rub its ear, then it's going to probably like you. But so they could probably be manipulated. Is what I would worry. But they are dogs. They're sweet. All right, baby names go in and out in popularity every few years. But did you know in New Zealand they actually outlaw some names from being used? The country just released its updated list of banned baby names, and you're probably thinking, why would they ban baby names? Well, topping the list this year of banned names is the name King. 11 parents in New Zealand applied to use that name. All were told by the government, no, give it a second thought. Some other names that topped the list were Prince or Princess, as well as Bishop and Crown.
They don't want any of the monarchy.
Yeah.
Inside the
that
civilian
puts
population.
a lot of pressure on a kid growing up with the name Crown.
Yeah.
Or King.
Well, we won't have any kings now.
Yeah.
Not in New Zealand, at least.
That's right. That's right.
Well, we're going to take a break, but keep it here on WCNC Plus. At 8:56, we'll have a quick update on weather and traffic on the broadcast side. And you can see our live Impact News studio getting ready to pick up the coverage here at 9. So stay with us.
Hello. We have temperatures jumping up to the mid 80s once again, day 4 in this temperature range, and our hourly forecast does show a slight chance for a storm to pop up in the middle of the afternoon. I think better chance around 6 o'clock for the Charlotte area. Check it out. Seeing a shower or two right around Rock Hill, York County. This is close to 6 o'clock. By about 8 o'clock, it's pretty much past and gone. Our next impact area is going to be, I think, around midnight to 6 a.m. Could have some strong storms roll in the overnight to kick off your Wednesday. After that, that front eventually will cool us down. Upper 80s to the upper 70s by Friday. Picture perfect, a little more spring-like for your holiday weekend. Majestic?
Good morning, everyone. If you're getting ready to head out the door, here's I-77 at Griffith. This is where we did have an earlier backup, but as you can see, conditions seem to be all right for this at least live look there. Once we switch it on over to our live traffic map, so still lots of ongoing impacts, still seeing that red popping up. So if you take I-77 north, it's going to take you a few more extra minutes because of that previous accident. You can see we do have another one there at W.T. Harris Boulevard. There's a crash there at University Executive Park.